Good morning. I had a subscriber asked me to do a little bit of psychological profiling on Frank Morris, and I'm working on that, but it's a little complicated because the guy had a lot of mental issues going on. But I wanted to give you quickly a couple of more names because other people are complaining that I don't have any names of any of these people that disappeared. Well, I gave you two already, Patty and Donna Suarez. And now I'm going to give you two more. These are two buddies of mine. One of them's name was it was Randy Butler, but I believe it was David Randy Butler. Randy dated my sister, and we were friends for years. He was a truck driver. He lived in Sassa, Florida. This is one of the guys that Frank took credit for making him disappear. There was another one named Albert Russell who lived around in the area where I lived, 6 Mile Creek or wherever, but I'm not sure where he moved to. But he was working at a trucking company on 40th Street and Interstate 4. I think it's 275 now. And I went over there to see him a couple of times, and he got kind of angry with me. He said, every time you come here, somebody stands around outside watching the parking lot and watching me and everything, and I want to know what's going on. And I told him, I said, I don't know what's going on, man. Well, I never saw him again after he told me that. I don't remember. I believe I went over there to see him, and they told me that they didn't know what was going on because he hadn't come to work. And I'm like, that's weird. And he goes, yeah. He said, because, Al loved his job, and he did. He loved the corporate thing. They said that he'd been there. I think he'd been there 4 years, if I remember right. And they said he'd never, or in that building, but he'd been with the company longer. They said he's never even late for work once. Big Al Russell was actually on the wrestling team with me at King High School. So these guys knew about him from way back. They actually walked in wrestling one time, wrestling practice, honest, and they started locking the door after that, keep people out. I'm going to give you another name. Yeah, the guy that owned the gym where I used to work, and I've told you a story about this before. I may tell it to you again. They tried to triangulate and capture me and him. We're sitting in the park one time talking about, this was when he was going to give me a job working in his gym, and we were talking about that. And I had to make him try to run over Clarence Anglin or Frank. I don't know which one it was because they looked a lot alike back then. And because they tried to block us. I told him, don't let these guys block you, man. They might have guns. They're going to kill us. He stepped on the gas and almost run over him. But when Frank was going down the list, naming all of my friends that were now his friends to be his slaves in hell, he named this guy, and his name was Kenneth Davis. I don't remember his middle name. Kenny owned a gym in Tampa, Florida, across the street from Chamberlain High School, where he had gone to high school. He lived in a trailer park near me, and I used to go over and see him, but I don't know if he moved or what, but the trailer park, I used to ride a bicycle through there for my workout and down to the creek, and then I'd swim and ride the bike back. But they closed off the park so you couldn't go in there if you weren't, living there. So that'll give you 3 names. So those of you who are complaining that I don't give you any names of people that these guys claim they took. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind is that you call the police. Some of these people just disappeared. It might take some people would never call the police about it because the police really harass you. They want to blame you for the disappearance. And some of them would wait a few days, and if they did call the police would be like, "Why did you wait so long?" And they try to make you look like the person that made this loved one disappear. So a lot of people just knew, don't call the police because you're not going to get anywhere with them. And they would never do anything, and they'd tell you they're gonna, and a lot of different reasons why people don't call the police on something like this. And there's no sign of struggle. There's no, just the person just disappeared. And Frank always said that they were experts at making people disappear without a trace. I've told you that many times. And what did he say in one of his last letters to the press over there in in San Francisco. He said our murders from now on are going to look like accidental deaths and disappearances and that kind of thing, and that's exactly what Frank did. Now, I don't know what more I can tell you guys to try and help you understand this guy Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers were the Zodiac killers, and I met them in Mexico City. I've known them all of my life. When I was 5 years old, they were trying to kill me. It just, it goes on and on. Things that I shut out because there were never good experiences. But I began to bring it all back when I started writing my book. And my book originally was about D.B. Cooper. That's the only thing I could remember about Frank. But once I started going to the internet and looking for different things to find out, when was the D.B. Cooper jump, and remembering that he had told me about it in Mexico and the dates didn't match up. There was a year's difference in there. He told me about it before he did it, a year before he did it. I want to tell you something else. The FBI in here in my office, I told you this before, they put a bunch of pictures in front of me, and I picked out D.B. Cooper as being the friend I had in Mexico, and he said that we suspect that this is Frank Lee Morris. We've always suspected it. We suspect that he also did the Zodiac killer murders, but we could never catch him to question him. We could never find him to question him. And even if we did, we would have it's him, and we'd have to stick him back in prison anyway, so he's not going to talk. So that's another reason why they just didn't really care about the whole thing. But anyway, I'm going to keep bringing you these stories. Next is going to be a psychoanalysis, psychological profile. I'm not a psychiatrist, okay? I'm a doctor of chiropractic, but I have had some training in psychiatry, and I'm gonna go over it. This guy's got so many mental issues going on. I'm making a list so that I know what to talk about because I can't remember it all. Have a nice day.